أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم ففهمنا سليمان وكلنا آتينا حكما وعلما رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم سبحانك لما وحنانيك ألم لا تنسني ولا تنسني الحمد لله أفضل الحمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله وسائر النبيين والصالحين وسلم اللهم وفقني واهدني وسددني واجمع لي بين الصواب والثواب وعذني من الخطأ والهرمان آمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome to Q&A. Maybe I've surprised you. Maybe you weren't expecting to see me today. Slight change in arrangement, shall we say. My Sunday program now has become my Wednesday program. Reason being is it just seems more sensible to have all 5 segments of Q&A one after the other. So my esteemed colleague Maulana Fazl Dad Sahab delivers on Monday and Tuesday, and then I have the Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. So as before, you know the structure. It's Q&A for questions and answers, and you know that I see if I can remember the number off the top of my head. The number you need to ring is 01274 214 299. Yep. That was perfect. Excellent. So that's 01274 214 299. Any questions that you may have, please call them in and we will deal with those questions as we go along. We are in the month of Rajab at the moment, and we are moving towards the month of Sha'ban, and then obviously after the month of Sha'ban is the month of Ramadan. Now, I know that the program schedule changes in the month of Sha'ban and in the month of Ramadan, in that we will move to looking at the needy across the globe and trying to raise awareness and obviously raise funds for those needs of those people. So we have a number of episodes between now and then, and I wanted to kind of touch on key topics which suddenly become of importance to people up and down the length of this country and even outside of the UK. And that are 2 kind of key points. One is when and how should we start the new month, and the second one is when and how should, or rather not how, but when should we make suhoor, and not too much the issue is when we should make iftar. Now, unfortunately, we kind of wake up only in the month of Ramadan, and we suddenly realize that the sighting of the moon or the start of the new month is based on the sighting of the moon. We've been somewhat detached. It's the 2 months that we really kind of wake up for. One is Ramadan and one is Sha'ban. And really for the rest of the year we're somewhat, even though the Hijjah is obviously of importance because the Eid al-Adha is in there, as well as obviously Hajj for those of us who may be fortunate to go this year. It looks like if all goes well with the rollout of the vaccine and the way the roadmap in the UK is looking, could be that, you know, come June the 21st, that, you know, we're back to normality, whatever that might be. But let's see, inshallah, let's see what happens. And obviously Hajj is after, as I recall, after June the 21st. So that might be a possibility. So I do want to touch upon that topic. So if you do have any queries about that, I know it's a little bit early, but like I said, the reason why I'm discussing that a little bit early is because then the scheduling changes in the month of Sha'ban, and there's still opportunity for Q&A. Don't forget, whilst I'm on in the same time that I'll be on between 7 and 8 approximately on the Wednesday, Thursday and Fridays, you can still ring in with your questions. Feel free to do so. But in terms of delivery, like I have a kind of lecture usually prepared beforehand, then that won't be there in that case. So I do want to bring this to your attention. And that is, how should we make a declaration for the start of the new moon, which is where the month of Ramadan comes in. Now, we have been instructed to sight the moon in order to start the new month. So how do we sight the moon? You know, what should we do? Well, we need to make that a habit. It's not something we should do basically, you know, just for the month of Ramadan, because it's a skill that's required. So, you know, for example, you have to go to a site somewhere where there's less atmospheric pollution, where there is less artificial lighting, so that you may go there and you may try to sight the moon before obviously it disappears, because it doesn't necessarily stay on the horizon for long. When you do go there, normally you would look across the horizon to where the sun is setting, because that's usually the place where you will see the hilal, the new moon, on the horizon. And the new moon may not stay on the horizon for long, maybe on for 10, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And we live in an island in the UK, so there's usually high likelihood that there will be overcast and cloudy skies. But until we start this practice, until we actually go out to seek that, then we will never obviously have a system. So that's important that we develop that. And I know there's groups of people up and down this country that are making effort for the start of every new month to go and try to sight the hilal. Sighting the hilal is absolutely essential, okay, because it is a requirement from the hadith in which it refers to ru'yat hilal, that we need to aftiru bi ru'yatihi, yani break fast, as in celebrate Eid al-Fitr when you sight the hilal, and similarly when you're going to start fasting, do that by the sighting of the hilal. Now I know there's some people who try to interpret that in a different way and say actually what sighting means here in our context is calculation. Again, that's a flawed way of thinking, and I've dealt with most of these topics in great detail. Online you'll find numerous lectures. You'll also find numerous articles that I've written on various websites, which you can see for yourself as to whether that has any sound basis that it should go by calculation. So it's going by sighting. So where should the sighting be? Should we restrict the sighting to the UK? Should we extend the sighting beyond the UK, up to Europe, beyond Europe, to Africa, to Asia, to the Arab lands? How far can this go? Where does our horizon end? Well, obviously we live in the UK, so our sighting should first be UK sighting. We should make effort to try to sight that hilal. And we should scour the skies looking for that in order to make that declaration. If for whatever reason that doesn't seem forthcoming, and we find that it's not, so clearly we need an alternative approach to trying to sight local only. So where do we find that? Well, we have numerous options available to us. One is that we try to look at the nearest country that has a hilal system in place, whether that be in France, Portugal, Spain, or anything else for that matter. If that is not forthcoming, then we may extend it to the nearest Muslim country, whether that be, in our case, for example, say Morocco. And some have argued that we can go on a latitude, the same latitude as the country, longitude as the country, that which lies on the same kind of axis, so to speak. If you were to draw an imaginary line down from the UK all the way through Europe and through Africa, it could reach all the way down to South Africa. So all the nations which lie throughout Central Africa all the way down to the tip will be included within there. So these are the circumstances, these are the arrangements that we have available to us as to what we could do. I've already dismissed the situation or the position of the fact that we can't go by calculations, because calculations does not allow the Shari'i perspective of, build a bit of suspense, the Shari'i perspective of sighting. Okay, we have to go by sighting, and calculation is not sighting. And many states, because of the unpredictability of sighting or not sighting, prefer calculation. It's also useful when you're doing calculation, because when it comes to civil matters like flying out on a particular day or arranging a meeting, 2-3 months ahead, and you can't find that adequate time or whatever, how do you go about doing that? If you can't remember the day that you're supposed to do this on, what are you supposed to do? If it changes and you're looking around and you're trying to say, oh, it's going to be on the 26th of Ramadan, when you don't even know when Ramadan is going to start. You don't even know when Sha'ban is going to start. So therefore, calculation seems to be a useful way forward. However, obviously, we've already explained that from the Shari'i perspective, it's got to be based on sighting. We're coming up to a short break, so we will carry this conversation on, inshallah ta'ala, after we return. But if you want to call in with some other questions, it's Bradford 214-299, or even questions regarding the starting or ending of an Islamic month. So join me again.